Hey guys, welcome back to another video here on Toned In Entertainment where, we're talking everything pop culture. And today we're combining two of my favorite things, wrestling and video games. And actually we're going to sprinkle in some WCW in there as well. So we're going to make this one awesome video. That's right. We're going back to 1990 and we're going to look at WCW, that's World Championship Wrestling's first Nintendo video game released here in America.
World Championship Wrestling!
Now, one thing I never knew when this game was released is that it's essentially a reskin of a game called Superstar Pro Wrestling that was released in Japan the year before. The Japanese version featured wrestlers like Stan Hansen, Abdullah the Butcher, and Vader. It featured just two wrestlers that would come to the American version, and that was Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, who also graced the cover. The American version of WCW featured 12 wrestlers. In addition to Hawk and Animal, the game also featured Michael P.S. Hayes, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Dr. Death Steve Williams, Ricky Steamboat, Rick Steiner, The Stinger, Kevin Sullivan, Mike Rotunda, Lex Luger, and Nature Boy Ric Flair. Looking back, they actually did a pretty good job of making the characters look like their real-life counterparts. Now, before your match started, you were actually able to choose 4 moves for your character. Now, as far as wearing your opponent's health down, it really didn't matter what moves you would choose. It's not like current games where you choose to target your opponent's body parts. All the moves appear to do similar damage. There was no grappling. You had to kick or punch your opponent several times. Then you had the chance to execute one of your 4 chosen moves, uninterrupted because there was also no reversals. When it came to selecting my moveset, I always liked having some type of suplex or bulldog. That way I could get my opponent away from the ropes if I was trying to go for a pin. A submission move was always helpful to have in your arsenal, especially against characters with more health like Lex Luger and Ric Flair, because if they would kick out of a pinfall attempt, it was way easy for them to turn the tide and get a move off on you. Also in the game, you were able to go to the top rope. Each wrestler had the same movesets. Either you did a knee drop for damage or a splash for a pin attempt. Now, while they did a good job in the looks department, some of the movesets are all over the place. Ric Flair with a jumping neckbreaker drop. I don't think I ever saw the Nature Boy do a clothesline. Instead of a torture rack, the total package had a neck ringer as his finishing move. With that being said, a handful of guys really did have some great looking and pretty accurate finishing moves, especially for a game released in 1990. Hawk had a running lariat. Animal would finish his opponents off with a power slam. The dog-faced gremlin would put people down with his signature belly-to-belly suplex. And Sting would force his opponents into submission with the Scorpion Deathlock. Now knowing that this was mostly a reskinned Japanese game, it sheds a lot of light on why guys like Flair and Luger had such strange finishers.
Now, as many issues of Nintendo Power I read back in the days, I don't remember reading about this.
Now as you made your way through the roster, you'd be faced with the boss of the game, the WCW Master, a giant wrestler in a mask. This match wasn't really fun. You could only really kick him or hit him with a move running off the ropes. If you were able to defeat him, you got a victory screen and your picture on the world title. The game also featured a tag team mode. You could pair any 2 wrestlers of your choosing and go through a tournament where you needed to earn the most points to be crowned the champions. For a game released 29 years ago, it's definitely a trip down memory lane and still a fun game to play. It's also nice to have wrestlers like Kevin Sullivan, Michael Hayes, and Dr. Death Steve Williams in the game because these guys really didn't make too many appearances in video games later. And it's also fun to play with legends like Sting, the Road Warriors, and Ric Flair.
Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this look at the WCW Nintendo game, released back in 1990. This was the only licensed game of World Championship Wrestling on the original Nintendo Entertainment System, released here in America. Later games would come out on the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64. Now, did you guys ever play this WCW game? Who was your favorite wrestler? And what wrestlers did you like to combine to make as a tag team to go through the tournament? Leave me a comment below, and guys, you know what to do. Make sure you subscribe here to Toned In Entertainment for future videos.
Subscribe to the channel. Do it. Go now. Do it now.